How do we know we are close to Christmas? One surefire way is to check out Cinnamon Grand and see those spectacular Christmas lights adding some festive cheer as we move closer to Christmas. It's truly a great Christmas as we collaborate with some amazing partners. Skills for Inclusive Growth and Australian Aid, Selinko Life, CDP, The Morning Newspaper, Park Street Gourmet and Zip Zip. Thank you. If you like what we have for you on Kaleidoscope, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Did you know you can open a digital fixed deposit with just 5,000 rupees? Open a CDB iDeposit digital fixed deposit today. CDB, your friend.
Today, on our CDB snapshot of the week that was, the World Bank extends a lifeline to Sri Lanka by approving eligibility to access concessional funding. The World Bank was the first development partner to repurpose a $400 million funding during the crisis. Sri Lanka's tourism earnings hit $107.5 million in November, with the total from January to November topping $1.1 billion. Remittances are at $3 billion for the first 11 months. Sri Lanka's gross official reserves increased 5.8% to $1.8 billion in November. The EU ranks Colombo among the cheapest cities in the world and Singapore the most expensive. Goblin mode is the 2022 word of the year, meaning unapologetically self-indulgent and greedy. And history was made at FIFA 2022 when for the first time ever a men's World Cup match was officiated by an all-female crew.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Selinko Life.
Welcome to our Selinko Life News Capsule. In trying to grow exports as a lifeline to Sri Lanka's economic challenges, one of the areas that has to be pursued are free trade agreements. While competitor countries have inked a significant number, in all these years since the free economy, Sri Lanka has just 2 bilateral agreements and 3 regional trade agreements. Subhashini Abesinghe, Research Director of Verite Research, joins me today for a brief chat on FTAs. Subhashini, why haven't we been able to pursue FTAs more, like our regional competitors who seem to have taken advantage of them?
Yes, free trade agreements, Savithri, to me, will work if a country believes that we have industries and sectors that feel confident that they have international competitive products and services and they have the ability to succeed abroad. And they see 2 major bottlenecks that prevent them from succeeding. First, it is the barriers imposed by the importing country. It can be India, it can be China. What they would want the government to do is go and help us through a trade agreement, dismantle these barriers and provide us market access. Second reason why companies, if we have such companies that are internationally competitive, second reason may be that actually their competitors get a better advantage to these markets because the competitors have free trade agreements, we don't. And if we can get a level playing field, we can succeed in these markets. But my view in the case of Sri Lanka is we do not have lot of support for FTAs in the country, and we should seriously consider why. What is really important is to understand that when you look at the resistance and support, Sri Lanka has far more resistance and far less support. That is one of the key reasons why we are not succeeding in FTAs.
So what can be done to make FTAs work for us?
When you look at most developed countries today and the increasing protection, increasing demand for protection, what we realize is that actually you cannot ignore companies and sectors that lose out from these trade agreements. So it's very important, like I said before, have policies and interventions to assist these companies to minimize the pain of adjustment. And this adjustment can be having to invest to improve your business. It can be having to close down your business, reduce, and even the reduce scope, transition into other sectors. I think if we are serious about trade agreements, it's important to think holistically about it and approach it in a more scientific manner.
And now for a look at our markets. In a somewhat bullish market, the all share price index was up by 2.16% at the Colombo Stock Exchange, with the average daily turnover at 3.1 billion rupees. WTI oil gave up the year's gains, moving to a 2022 low of $72.75 per barrel, with investors heeding recession warnings and worrying about continuing interest rate hikes. After moving up from this year's lows, gold steadied at $1,782 per ounce, closing in on the price it was 12 months ago in January 2022. Two of Sri Lanka's greatest gifts to the world are tea and Ayurveda. Therapy Ceylon, a brand new line of organic teas, is all about bringing together Ayurvedic remedies and organic Sri Lankan tea to create a unique product that showcases the true flavour of Sri Lanka in a modern contemporary context. Here's director Rubinika Ranasinghe on how she came up with the idea.
As a second-generation tea exporter, I was passionate to develop my own brand. I started realizing how much of our holistic wellness of Ayurveda or Ayurveda that we were taking for granted and not sharing with the rest of the world. We started working with Ayurvedic doctors and practitioners to infuse these ancient Ayurvedic remedies with carefully selected organic teas. The products that we use or the ingredients that we use are native and natural to our environment. These ingredients grow in the wild and don't need any fertilization or pesticides. As they're endemic, we realize that it doesn't strip the natural nutrients from our soil, making it environmentally sustainable as well. Through Therapy Ceylon's success, we want to ensure that we provide a profitable and sustainable income for rural farming. We're keen to promote Sri Lanka's two hallmark heritages to the world and is continuously looking for like-minded partners in selected countries.
Imagine seeing 2,539 nativity scenes in one place. A spectacular collection of nativity scenes from over 100 countries dating back to the 1950s is on display in Iowa, USA, a beautiful reminder of the unique power of Christmas. Christmas time may be busy and you may not be able to read as much as you would love to. But if you follow a speed reading course with Sanjeev, you can have the best of both worlds. Just let us know and we'll give you a gift for Christmas. Up next is S4IG Let's Talk with Pippa Langan, the record-breaking girl on a bike. It is known as the most epic ultra-endurance race in the Indian Ocean. Race the Pearl is in its 5th edition and had over 50 cyclists riding 600 kilometers from the northernmost tip of Sri Lanka, that's Point Pedro, to the southernmost tip, Dondra Head, in just 24 hours. While UK's Toby Reid and Frenchman Fabrice Linon were well within the 24 hours, Pippa Langan's timing was a very close third at 24 hours and 8 minutes. But she set a course record for female riders and won a special award too. She's currently on a quest of cycling around the world. Pippa joined me on Kaleidoscope S4IG Let's Talk, and she told me a little bit about what it felt like to be riding around or from the top to the bottom of Sri Lanka. So Pippa, congratulations. You came third in that epic race, the Pearl. What was it like having flown in from Europe, got on a bike, riding 600 kilometers in 24 hours?
Well, I didn't consider the time, I considered the distance. I was like, 600 kilometers, I know I can do it. I've ridden that before over a period of time, but just never timed to 24 hours. And it wasn't until like halfway through that I was like, oh yeah, I can actually do this. And yeah, at times it got really hard. My legs hurt, my bum hurt, my feet hurt. My gear cable snapped quite late on in the race, leaving me with just 2 gears. But I got to the end and I did it, so I'm so happy.
So besides everything that you said, what was most challenging for you?
I'd say actually probably the terrain. If it was just you on a bike on a flat surface riding for 600 kilometers, I reckon you'd just do it. But actually sometimes when the road got hard and when the rain was pouring down, it was just like, I could stop. I could just stop, and I did find myself towards the end of the race being like, if my tire blew now, I can just give up. I've come far enough. I don't need to do any more. So yeah, terrain and probably mental, a bit mental challenges to get over.
Now, you are just one of a few female riders in this race, and this race is gender equal. As a female rider, is there anything that we need to keep in mind? What sort of challenges did you have to overcome as a female rider?
Sometimes when people come close to you, I always feel as a female, I've had bad experiences on a bike before, that you're just not quite sure of who's behind you and what they're doing.
Your personal space.
Exactly, and so it was just a bit like only sometimes. But then having said that, like a woman came up and scootered really close to me for a long time, and that also made me feel uncomfortable, so I'm sure it was, I think it's probably going to be the same for guys.
Pippa, you're now in the middle of your cycling around the world tour. Where did you start and where will you be? What's your route like, and when and where will it end?
So yeah, I decided actually after cycling around Sri Lanka last December that it was the best, like just being outside and being on my bike and doing what I love was what I wanted to do. So I've decided to take a career break. I started from London on the 5th of October. I spent 25 days cycling from London to Istanbul through Europe, which was really cool. Then I flew here, and so this is my second leg of my 6th in Vietnam. I cycled down to Ho Chi Minh City, up through Cambodia to Bangkok in Thailand, then down to Malaysia and then Indonesia to Melbourne, where I will then fly to the south of New Zealand, cycle to the south of the South Island, New Zealand, cycle to the top of the North Island, and then fly to LA and cycle from LA to New York. And then I will be done, hopefully, on the 1st of June next year.
This Christmas, walk into a treasure trove of luxury retail at Park Street Gourmet and be immersed in a gastronomic discovery of fine food and wine. Park Street Gourmet, Colombo's first gourmet experience. If you're looking for the perfect gift, hop along to Park Street Gourmet because I found some amazing hampers there when I popped in this week and had a chat with director Johan De Silva. Johan, so your hampers at Park Street Gourmet are legendary. What's special about them this year?
This is the 5th year the store has been in existence, and the 3rd year we have been doing these corporate hampers. This year we are catering hampers for corporate gifts for Sri Lankans overseas for their loved ones, and also for a lot of officers who are buying hampers for their staff. This year is no difference because we're going to have some of the best hampers with the best products in it, starting as low as 10,000 rupees and going up to 100,000.
Sky's the limit.
That's right. And PSG is known for its hampers year in and year out.
So may you have a blessed Christmas.
Thank you, Savithri.
And a joyous one too.
You too.
Now those are gifts worth giving. Here's your weekly reminder to get some R&R over the weekend. We'll see you next week.